You are listening to Fiction Fairies, two authors chasing joy and creativity. I'm author Amanda Torrey.
And I'm author Christine DePetrillo. Welcome to our podcast where we amplify joy, whimsy, and the magic of the written word. Today, we also have a special guest. Author Abigail Drake is with us. Yay. Hi, Abigail.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Welcome,
And
welcome.
yes, so we're really excited to be able to interview you and share you with our joylings today.
Neat.
Yeah.
So excited to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us. And one of the things we like to do here on Fiction Fairies to begin is to share what's in our chalice, which is what we're drinking today. So today I have my hefty Ireland mug and I have a hot London fog, which is very steamy in my office. So this should be, if I start sweating even more, this is what's happening. So how about you, Abigail? What do you have today in your chalice?
Well, I have a mug my sister gave me with cherry blossoms on it.
Ooh,
By accident,
gorgeous.
didn't even think about the connection here. Inside I have matcha, which
Oh,
is pond water right now, but it's yummy. But I lived in Japan, and so I didn't even think that I chose cherry blossoms and matcha for my chalice.
kind of perfect.
It
I
is?
love that.
It's
It's
perfect.
gorgeous. How about you,
And
Christine? What do you have?
I have my goddess mug today, my goddess moon
Appropriate.
mug. And I do have, like you, it is boiling here today in Vermont, finally. Like literal steam rising from the mountains outside
Oh,
of my
wow.
view.
Nice.
And I just prior to hitting record was experiencing a hot flash. So if I just liquefy at some point, just carry on without me.
We're just
But
all going
I
to be a
do,
bunch of petals.
yes, I do have mint tea in here,
Ooh,
so
yummy.
hopefully that will, even though it's warm, it will have like a cooling
Yeah,
effect. That's what
yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
hoping. So
I
we'll
don't
see.
know if this is true, but I did read somewhere a long time ago that like drinking hot beverages when it's hot actually does have like a cooling effect on your body.
Really?
Is that a
They
real
do,
thing? I don't
they
know.
do that in hot countries. I lived in
Okay.
Turkey. They drink hot tea all summer,
Okay.
and
Oh,
yeah.
so we're onto something, you know?
Maybe. Okay. It's
Fantastic.
science.
It is, I know, and I like that you have like your mug kind of looks like the triple goddess thing, and look at us, 1, 2,
Yes.
3, triple goddesses
Perfect.
right here.
It's-
Here we are.
Wow, perfect. I'll wave my fairy wings at that.
when you
So
mentioned,
our
when you
oh, sorry.
mentioned the hot flash, I learned a fun fact today
Ooh,
that
what is
orcas
it?
are the only creature besides humans who experience menopause.
Oh, you know,
Which
I did
Oh.
hear something about that, and that it was something like their theory is that the orcas needed to like have go into menopause so that they could help their daughters have mates, so there's no competition, and they help like raise the family to go on as like this matriarchal thing. Which
well, it
I thought was
explains
so
why
nice.
they attack boats for no reason.
Go orcas!
Menopausal orcas.
Yeah.
I know when
I like that.
we're all attacking something, right? Watch out for us in menopause, crones, you know,
Yes.
overlooked and overactive. So our main goal here on the podcast is to meet authors, which we're doing today, and other creative people to go behind the scenes into the creative process because we are obsessed, to build a whimsical and weird community. So welcome.
Thank you.
Highlight the power of play and find joy in creativity. And on the joy and creativity note, we want to remind everyone to join us tonight when this episode goes out for the second seasonal Whimsy Writer Club, which is a free online writing group where you're invited to be weird and creative with us. So super excited about that.
Yeah, we'll have some weird and whimsical prompts like we did last time with creative time and a chance to share what you've created if you want to. And I will say the last one we did, pretty much everybody shared.
They
I think it
did.
was like
Some
they
awesome
kind of
stuff.
couldn't help themselves. Yes.
And the creativity was
And
off the charts. I was blown away.
it was.
Like it was crazy.
It was. It really was. Yeah. So the second seasonal Whimsy
second.
Writer Club, that's hard. Yeah. Is tonight, June 25th at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So you'll have to calculate that for your own time zone. We are hosting it on Zoom. So if you already subscribe to us or you quickly sign up to subscribe to our Substack, you'll get that Zoom link to register right to your inbox. And that will be super convenient for you. And if not, the Zoom registration link will also be below in our show description.
Awesome. Super excited. Hope you guys join us. And diving into the joy in today's episode, Christine, you want to start telling us how you invited joy into your life since our last episode?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, two quick things. One, I've had some fun preparing for some summer reading programs in the local area. So, they have a theme, and I just kind of put on my teacher hat and developed something, and I'm going to just be doing that in a few libraries locally. So, I'm excited about that. I think that'll be fun, kind of the fun of teaching and interacting with kids without having to grade them and really be responsible for them in any way. So, I think that's like the best way to go about it. Yes. So,
yes.
and I wanted to harken back to a previous episode where we talked about reveling in seasonal first, because last night, as I was sitting on the couch watching some Netflix, I looked up, and in my great room windows, it was dark out, I saw the first firefly flicker. And I adore fireflies. I actually wrote a book called Firefly Mountain just because I loved how much the fireflies looked in the tall grass in my lower field. It just looks like a switchboard. And it's just, and to know that they are flickering in order to attract a love mate just makes it all the sweeter. But I did revel in that seasonal first as we guided our joylings to do. So that was fun.
That's exciting. And I also want to shout out to a previous episode, because we talked early on about putting ourselves out there creatively. And I'm so proud of you because you put yourself out there, and now you're doing all these like library gigs. And I'm so excited for my Fiction Fairy co-host. So, and I know Abigail, you do a lot of things with like libraries and things as well, right? So,
I do. Libraries are my happy place. So anything I can give back to them, I do.
I love it. A lot of power here on this podcast.
Yeah. Abigail, can you think of any recent joys that you've had in your life?
Oh, so many. But I find that I started keeping a gratitude journal, and I write in it in the morning before I look at anything else, and I list 10 things from the day before. And it's such a basic thing, and I know a lot of people do this in different ways, but it just makes me more attentive and makes me realize things that are like everyday kind of miracles and everyday kind of magic.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. That's so great.
Yeah, I've done that too. And I find when you do that, you start getting more of them.
Yes.
Because you're paying attention.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it does help you tune out the less positive things in life too. Like, not that they stop existing, but when you stop giving them power, it does invite more of those good things into life. So.
Yeah. What about you, Amanda? Recent joy?
Well, I've had a lot of recent joys, but I'm going to stick with like kind of basic ones, outside of like the family awesomeness, But this morning I resumed my morning walks, which is part of why I'm probably kind of sweaty here. And I also treated myself to a new desk with a walking pad, like a standing desk. So I really, really am feeling joyful about sort of prioritizing my health and making sure that these long hours I sit at a desk are not going to continue to wear on my body. So I really enjoy being active, and it can be hard. Like, I'm noticing as I'm approaching 50 that a lot of things are different in my body. I'm like, I can't do some things as easily. I can do things, but I'm noticing more things in my body that I don't really like that they're happening. And I'm like, I need to get moving. So I found some joy in that self-care. And even though it's going to mean probably some challenges for me to get into this new routine, I am really excited about it. So
nice.
That's my joy.
Yeah. And pouring positive energy to you to get into a schedule that works for you. So
thank you. I just when you sit for a long time, I was dictating and I was walking as I was doing it, but like I would dictate a whole book in a very short period of time. So it was a lot of hours, like days in a row, but it wasn't regular. And now like I'm finding my process has shifted again, and I'm spending more time sitting because I'm doing a lot of admin stuff and website building and all this other kind of stuff. And I'm like, I'll spend sometimes up to like 18 hours a day and, barely get up. I'm like, when's the last time I went to the bathroom? Because I'm just so focused. So it's not good for the body to do that.
Yeah. Good. Good. I like that. You have to let us know how the walking pad desk goes. I
Sure.
have been curious about that before, so I'd like to hear your
Let you know.
reviews of that.
We'll see if I come on with like bandages all over myself
Sweatband.
next
Oh,
time, like from falling, because I'm not the most
yeah.
coordinated. I do like I have a treadmill with my partner built me like a cute little desk on it, and I can do it. It's just I have to like in my office I have my 2 monitors, and so I have a really hard time shifting context when I'm in one thing, moving to another environment with a different computer. It's just so I'm like I don't use it as much as when I'm in edits I do use it a lot, but other than that, so anyway,
Yeah.
enough of that.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say if you come on with like a sweatband
Yeah.
on, that we'll know you have just been
Who's
working
that guy
out
we
on
were just
there.
talking about? Who's that guy with those shorts with the sweatband at the 80s? The little guy, he's very energetic.
Richard
Just went with the
Simmons?
oldies. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be the Richard Simmons of the
Yeah, there you go. That's what you need. Yeah,
do that.
perfect. Okay, so we are ready now to go into the meadow with author Abigail Drake. Yes, we're so pleased to have you join us today. And let's get your bio first so our Joylings can know a little bit more about you up front. So, Abigail Drake is the award-winning and best-selling author of 23 novels, but she didn't start her career in writing. She majored in Japanese and economics in college and spent years traveling the world, collecting stories wherever she visited. She collected a husband from Istanbul on her travels too, and he is her favorite souvenir. Abigail is a coffee addict, a dog wrangler, and the mother of 3 adult sons. She writes contemporary romance, women's fiction, and young adult fiction. In her spare time, she blogs about her Labrador, Capone, and teaches writing classes for children and adults. So welcome, Abigail,
Love
and
it.
we're going to have Amanda start us off with our questions.
Well, so excited to have you here. Abigail and I met at a conference years ago, and we just like hit it off. Like, my soul sister over there. So delighted to have you here on the podcast with my other wonderful friend too. So let's talk about your upcoming release. It's called Poppy Cakes, coming out on July 1st.
Yes.
Super excited when I saw that pop out. Your cover's gorgeous. But can you tell us about that book?
Well, it's the story of a baker named Poppy Fields, and she gained fame on the internet with her baking cakes. And she decided to bake a cake for her fiance and surprise him, but she's the one who got a surprise because as she was live streaming the delivery of the cake, she walked in on him with another woman. Oh, I know, poor Poppy. But when she talked to her followers about it, they doxed the woman. They figured out who she was and exposed the woman and her husband because the woman was. And it turns out her husband is a professional baseball pitcher named Kenzo. And he blames Poppy for basically ruining his life and exposing his private shame to millions of people. And he ends up becoming a coach in Poppy's hometown, which is Charleston, West Virginia, and accidentally buys the house next door to Poppy. So it's a really fun book. And things that I love about this are the fact that Kenzo is half Japanese. And because I lived in Japan and I speak Japanese, it was really fun writing a character who grew up in 2 different cultures, and especially a culture I'm familiar with that I love, the Japanese culture. Also, he's a professional baseball player, which I don't do any sports, but my great uncle was a professional baseball player, and he actually
That's cool.
I know. He coached the Pittsburgh Pirates back when they won the series. So we went to like every baseball game. So I kind of grew up with baseball as the background noise of my life. So
that's exciting.
It was fun. And Poppy is from Charleston, West Virginia, and my oldest son and his wife lived there for a few years, and I got to go to the city and experience the city. It has a great foodie culture, and I love the people. And I fell in love with West Virginia as well. It's a magical place. If you've never been to West Virginia, the mountains are so beautiful, and it's just a different place. So that's Poppy Cakes.
I love how you're able to bring so much of your life and experiences into creating a fictional world. That's such a fun part of learning about other people's creative processes and like how that works. So thanks for sharing that. That's so cool. And do you want to talk to us a little bit about how you got into writing in general?
Well, I was always a reader. I was the kid who always had a book with them. And I still, my husband and I went to see a Kiss concert and I had a book in my purse. I also wore a cardigan in pearls, and I didn't realize it until I got to the Kiss concert. And I sent a picture out and my friend was like, "You're wearing a cardigan in pearls to a Kiss concert." Oops.
I love it.
But
I love the image.
I think when you read a lot, it's kind of a lesson in plotting and character development, and you don't realize that you're studying the mechanics of writing. But I don't intend to ever become a writer. As you mentioned, I studied Japanese and economics in college, but I did take one creative writing class, and the teacher asked me to stay after class. And he said, "You're a writer. Why aren't you majoring in writing?" And I gave him excuses, but his words really stuck with me. And later, when I had the chance to give it a try, I was like, well, he thought I was a writer, so maybe I can do this. So that this, I think.
Love that. Isn't there something so magical about when somebody else sees something in us that we don't see, but it does stick with you? It's like, oh, wait a second, you know, especially if you think like your creative process is normal. And it took me joining writers groups to realize that the way I thought and saw the world was not really normal. And that, you know, like most people don't do that, but authors do. So, you know, once you figure out you're part of that.
And it's also amazing how the comments of one person or the influence of one thing that one person says can change life. And so I try to remember that whenever especially when I'm teaching children, but anytime I'm working with yet to be published writers or writers who are struggling or children, to make sure that I'm the person who maybe it won't change their lives, but I give them some, positive feedback and reinforcement.
I love that, because you don't know kind of what other messages they've heard and what's going to stick with them, and having you believe in them and like that props people up so beautifully. So awesome. Creating that ripple. I love it.
Yes.
Awesome. So one thing that Christine and I notice about you, one thing I think you and I kind of connected on originally, is that you write in different genres. And we, too, are people who have trouble, like, staying in our lanes. The conventional wisdom of, like, write one thing so that people kind of know what you're for. So what entices you about writing in multiple genres rather than sticking with one thing that you could be known for?
Well, sometimes I do have regrets, but there's so many stories to tell. Why would you limit yourself to one genre when there's a world of possibilities? I read books in different genres. Mostly I read romance, but I read all kinds of romance. But I also read mysteries, and I read nonfiction, and I read lots of different things. And I think although it's good in a way when you write something predictable, because your readers have somewhere to go when they finish one book. They can head to the next book and it'll be what they expect. But on the other hand, what if you write in a really narrow niche and suddenly that niche is dead and nobody's buying it anymore? Whereas if you write in 5 different genres, at least something will be working at that time. So
yeah, you always have something to pick out.
Exactly.
I love that. And I'm not like trash talking anyone who is able to stay in a lane. Fantastic. Like I'm a little jealous, but it is always interesting to sort of see where different people are coming from with that decision into how to run your business and how to engage that creativity.
Explained it very well. I love Alessandra. She does so many great courses. She just had an Inkers Con which was amazing. But she wrote one rom-com and she had regrets because people who read the rom-com and liked the rom-com, she had nowhere to send them after. Because all of her other books, I think she writes more like a romantic suspense kind of thing. I'm not 100% sure, but But I was like, oh, that makes total sense. And I absolutely, I think those people are very successful when they do that. And if you can do that, that's a very good plan.
Yeah.
But it's also, I think, important to write what's in your heart, for me at least. So,
yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, totally agree. And it's great that the world is big enough for us to kind of all have our own paths. And some are going to be more direct and some are going to be more like wandering chaotically through the forest and hoping that the fairy ring just takes you somewhere where it makes sense.
Well, there's no right or wrong way to become a success or as a writer, or to everybody can find a different path. So one way might work for one person, but it might not work for another person. So I really get upset when somebody tells writers, you must be this or you must do this. And then I notice like 6 months later, they're like, oh, you must do this instead.
Pivot.
No, just do what feels right for you.
I agree. Absolutely. So I want to hear a little bit more. You shared with us about how you were able to bring in like some of your things from your life and like different cultural things from for Poppy Cakes. But what appealed to you about writing a book specifically about a baking influencer and a baseball pitcher?
Well, the baseball pitcher, when I lived in Japan for a year, I worked for the Ministry of Education, which sadly is in no way connected to the Ministry of Magic. But
oh man,
I know. And then for 2 years, I worked in import-export. And I worked for a tiny Japanese company, and we bought interior decorations and architectural supplies from the U.S. and sold them like to hotels and restaurants and boutiques in Japan. And I was in the not the selling side, although I did do some selling, like some meetings, just so that I could be the performing foreign girl who spoke Japanese. Like I was like a novelty item. But when I was flying back to Japan once from a business trip, I was fortunate enough to be in first class, and I was sitting with a bunch of actors who were in an upcoming movie. I think it was called Mr. Baseball. It starred Tom Selleck. He wasn't on my plane. He came the day. Oh, dang. I sat next to a golfer named Tom Watson, but that was kind of cool. But not Tom Selleck. It was a weird airplane ride. It was
the stuff of a writer's dream.
That was back when you couldn't choose what movies you were watching. They just showed you one. And one of the guys said, hey, can you show this movie? Me and this other guy are in it. And so we watched a movie with this guy.
Oh, cool.
They were like all extras kind of thing. But that baseball was huge in Japan. It was such a big thing. It's funny how like different sports appeal to other cultures, and you think America is such a baseball country, but it's actually popular in a couple other places as well. So I as this story idea was coming together in my head, I thought that would be fun. But to make him initially, actually, I wrote the character not as Japanese. I was writing him as somebody from Florida, and very American and Southern. And then I thought about this whole baseball thing in Japan, and I'm like, well, that would be really cool if he was Japanese. And the biggest thing was I thought I would have to change the whole book to make him, but I didn't.
Nice.
And I just had to change one spot where the guy's hair was brown and not blonde, and whatever. But it was a great lesson for me, because I realized had I written this character as Japanese, half Japanese from the beginning, I would have kept referring, like kept giving comments to make the reader aware of his Japanese.
Oh, right.
And I'm like, this is how I need to write all my characters who are diverse. Like, why am I making it such a big deal? Like pointing it out. I'm like, hey, he's Japanese. Oh, he's have to do that. Let it be known once to the reader, and then he's just a character. It's not about that. So it was a really good way to go, but
that's a great insight to come to too, and like kind of accidentally. That's that's a good message for all of us, really.
But the baking thing was just I was thinking, I would look at a lot of baking videos. I bake myself, mostly cookies and pies, not as much cake. My mom does cakes and she decorates them. I do not. But I thought these bakers, I mean, you get so involved and you love listening to their stories. And I thought that would be a good person. I wanted somebody who had some kind of social media presence, that she could have people who would react to this thing that happens to her. So that's how it.
Yes. Oh, that's so cool. And so, like, I was going to ask you about sort of where you drew inspiration for this book, and you did touch on that in a couple different ways, but is there anything, like, is there something that you, like, did you have a scene that came to you first? You know, like the whole thing of her walking in on and live streaming accidentally, the infidelity, like, is there anything that kind of like was like, this is the book? And,
Well,
you know, to get you inspired?
it actually came because I saw this thing unfold in real time on TikTok, which I'm not on TikTok a lot. I like TikTok, but I'm not there a lot. But this woman was giving updates on the situation she was in. She'd found out her fiance was cheating with a married woman. And then she found out the name of the married woman, and her followers doxed that woman. And they also doxed her husband, who was in the military. And he had no idea his wife was cheating. But the husband, was a very good looking, muscly, hiking kind of guy. And all of her followers were like, wait, it would be the ultimate revenge if you and this guy got together. Like, just thinking about that. So that was kind of where the story started.
Nice. That's so magical when those things just like when you're observing something and then all of a sudden you're like, creative brain activated. I need to write this.
It's when you start thinking, what if? Like, what if they did get together? What if, or what if they hated each other at first? And what if it's a lovers? And what if he's a single dad? And what if he has 2 little girls? And what if, and you just it keeps rolling and rolling until suddenly, you know, you've got a half Japanese baseball player. And
yeah, those what if questions really just lead to so much. My very first full length book was based on, I had been in an online writing circle like way back in the day when being in an online anything was like super new and like, oh my gosh, we can do this. And it was just like a messaging thing, no video or any of that. But I had somehow connected with this guy that lived in Alaska, and just randomly he was like, you should come up to my cabin in Alaska. And of course, like in my mind, I was like, dude, I don't know you. Like that has danger written all over it. But then in my mind, I was like, what if I did go? And then it led to this whole story of that kind of situation where this woman, she had developed much more of an in-depth like online relationship with this guy. And then her work sends her to Alaska. And so she decides to find him, and love story ensues from there. But it's that what if where you're like, you know, something that you yourself would like never do. And then you're like, but what if I did?
Or somebody did.
Or somebody did, right? Like, what if I get to live this through this character that I create, right?
Yes,
so,
yeah. And that's one of the things, kind of a sidebar, but like, I think a lot of people, when they hear you write books, especially romance, they're like, oh, like, is that what you do? Like, no, these are not my personal experiences, but they are things like I've thought about for some, they're not even necessarily experiences I want to have for myself. However, I like to imagine other people living down the road. So it's like, it's just a separate road in your brain where it's like, I have my things that I want to experience in life, and then I have things I want characters to experience in life, and they're not always the same.
They are not the same. They're not.
No.
So, one of the things, of course, we love on this podcast and in our lives is whimsy and playfulness. And I am curious for you, how do you incorporate these kinds of things into your books?
There's enough suffering in the world. I mean, I like a sad story. I'll watch it. Although I've been avoiding Hamnet because I know it will be
devastating.
Yeah, but
bawled my eyes out on that one.
I'm waiting for a day that I really need a good cry, and then I'm gonna watch it. I like to keep my books light and funny and positive and happy. It's just like a nice little escape where you can go to this fun place where you're safe and you don't have to feel like you're going to be like manipulated, or you're going to be. It's just a fun, light world to be in. So that's why I write that way. I've tried to write more serious, more dark darker things.
Mm-hmm.
But rom-com is really my, if I had to have a niche, I think anything kind of rom-com-y is where my strengths are.
It's funny to hear you say that you've tried to write dark, because I've done the same, and like I can do it for a period of time, and then it's almost like I freak myself out, and I'm like, oh, I can't continue with this. Like, I don't know where this is. I'm gonna open up something so dark and terrible that I'm not gonna be able to put it back in the box. And so I like stop. Yes.
I sometimes do it for short stories, like if I'm asked to do an anthology. I just did one for charity, and I must have been feeling the darkness that day because my husband and I were lucky enough to go to Mexico City for Day of the Dead, right before the pandemic. So it was like in 20. But I wrote about a Day of the Dead kind of story, which was sad and dark. But got that out of my system and went back to writing.
There you go. Nice. There you go.
It's like therapeutic. Sad. I can write sad, but I can't write like mean, like, so like I can write like sad things happening, but there's always healing. There's always an uplifting. It's like a part of their healing process. They have to kind of process these sad things or whatever. But I don't know. I love sad. I'm a happy person. I'm pretty cheerful, but like I love sad songs. I love sad stories.
Yeah. Sad commercials.
Yes.
Oh, commercials. Yeah.
But also I think like that, I just want to go back a little bit to what you said about like you try to write serious, but I think whimsy and playfulness are serious pursuits. Like, so I just would say that like they don't have to be dark or sad or anything else to be serious, because I think that's where we need to put focus, is like it is serious, and it is seriously challenging sometimes to actually find light in a dark,
Yes. And I think I meant serious, like not humorous.
Yeah.
Yes.
I get you. I just wanted to make sure that, we're validating like the very seriousness of beautiful, funny things.
Whimsy. Yes. And to continue on the whimsy, I'm going to shift to me now with the questioning. And what is something you find the most joyful about writing, like the process? Like we've had guests on who are like, oh, I really like the planning phase, or I really love this or that. So like what part of writing brings you the most joy?
I actually really like all of it, which I know that sounds stupid, but it's kind of like with your children, how each age and each stage has its special moment, and if you're constantly wishing you were on to the next stage, then you're not enjoying where you are right now. So with writing, like when I'm drafting, I love the drafting until I know that I'm sick of it and it's done and it's time to send it to editing.
Moving on, right?
I can't look at this anymore. That's when I know it's time to move on. But then when I get my edits back, I'm so grateful because my editors see all these things, and I'm like, oh, I don't understand writers who take it personally and are when an editor points out something you can do better. I may not agree with every single thing, but I agree with 98% of what they want me to do. And then I've also discovered that I really enjoy marketing, because marketing is also storytelling. I'm actually going to teach a class for Crime Writers of America on that topic. Marketing is storytelling. I taught it at Penn Writers recently, and then someone recommended me to Crime Writers of America. But I think writers a lot of times get really scared and think, oh, I'm an artist. I'm not a business person. Perhaps because I have a degree in economics, maybe why I think like this. But you're the best person to tell the story of your book. You can send things out. You can hire people to write your blurbs or to write your taglines or your log lines or whatever, but they will never know the heart of your book the way you do. You just have to push aside all the different layers and issues and whatever and figure out where the heart of your book is and tell the story of your book. And that's what marketing is.
Love that.
I do love that. Yeah. I like the idea too of finding joy in each of the phases, because that really, I feel like that must give you the sustained energy to get from start to finish when you can find joy in each piece. So how about your writing space? Can you tell us about like where you write?
I'm here right now. With my dog on my feet. This space is actually converted slightly. It's extremely messy right now, but I have two nieces who are from Istanbul, and they're going to school at the University of Pittsburgh, which is only 45 minutes away from me. So this room now has a single bed in it I need to have their own space here because they come home again sometimes. But I have a mat on the bed now that's a PM something mat. It's like got crystals in it and it heats up and
Oh, I've heard of those.
Yes.
lights,
Oh,
infrared lights. And I
yes.
meditate there. So
Nice.
not when my niece is here, when she's here, but I meditate. That's like my meditation spot in the morning. And
It's nice.
it's become like not only my office, but my little space here for.
Yeah.
Does that help you transition into that, from like your regular life to like writing life?
Yes. Yeah, that's it. Exactly.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to ask next, Amanda.
Sorry.
Wait, I will send you the next question
Okay.
telepathically. Now,
Well, that I can actually continue on with the question you were in your mind.
yes,
Rituals or something like that.
Ooh.
yes.
The meditations I listen to are guided meditations for writers that were created by a very dear friend of mine. Her name's Madhu Bazaz Wangu, and hard to remember, I know, but I'll share that with you later. He has all of her meditations on YouTube, and as soon as I hear her voice, it's like, she's like my little Indian grandmother, and I love her.
Oh, I love that.
Isn't that amazing how like the sound of someone's voice can do that? I have a couple of podcasts that I listen to that are about, new agey kinds of things. And there's one in particular, and I don't care what topic she's talking about, just the way that she speaks, like the rhythm of it. I mean, she could be reporting terrible news.
Yes.
And the way that it comes out, I'd be like,
Relax.
it's so weird.
Nice.
Yeah, but I love it.
Whole Map is really good too. Yeah, I don't know if you
Yes.
but Chibzo Karake, I like to listen to him. And those are my two favorites. I'm like, if
very nice.
you're doing a meditation, I'm like, oh, it's Chibzo Karake.
Awesome.
Love it. Now, we talked about how, like us, you write in, multiple genres. But if you could deviate from any of those, like maybe deviate from romance completely, what would your dream non-romance writing project be?
Well, I adore children's books and picture books. I have a granddaughter now. She's going to be 3 in August, and a second one is coming in September.
Congratulations.
Yes.
All these boys in my life, suddenly it's like an estrogen at my house. But I adore children's books, and I think the books that we read as children have such an influence on us our whole lives. I think it's a very powerful genre.
Yeah, agreed. As someone coming from teaching in the classroom too, in upper grades, 5th grade, like children's books, even picture books, like they are so potent, even at that higher age level. And it's such an art to be able to write those. You basically have about 32 pages to really make something happen, and it is such an exercise in choosing your words carefully in that shorter form. And I'm always surprised at like what an impact these short picture books with beautiful illustrations can make. So cool. How about if you wanted to work in the creative field and not be a writer? What's something you might imagine yourself doing?
I think it would be marketing. I enjoy also like social media posting and connecting with people through Facebook is my primary one. I also really like Instagram. I do a little TikTok, but I have friends who are so good at TikTok, and I'll do like a whole bunch at once and then forget about it.
Right.
I'm more consistent on the other one. So I think that would probably, I also really enjoy teaching. Like teaching at writers' conferences, but I also love teaching kids. And I was an artist in residence for a performing arts charter school.
Fun.
Publishing department. So I was with them for a year and it was amazing. And I just found out yesterday that I am chosen. I'm going to be on the board of directors for the school. So
fun. Nice. And that's congratulations.
Yeah, congrats.
Yeah.
Awesome.
About this because I think when you see a lot of negativity in the world, do something small. Like you might not be able to fix big problems, but if there's something that you feel in your heart, that is like, I'll say a calling. This isn't like excessive for what I'm talking about, but my dog just groaned under the table like, oh, calling.
He's like, calling.
Calling, yeah. Here she
like,
goes.
I'm your calling, okay?
But if there are ways you can help, and even if it's something small, do it.
Yeah.
And it's a great message.
Yeah, the ripple effect. Amanda and I have discussed that before of doing these small things that ripple out in ways you don't even imagine. Good. So your bio mentioned that you spent years traveling the world. Do you have a favorite place that you explored, and why was it your favorite?
Oh God. Well, I lived in two different countries, in Japan, and I lived in Istanbul, Turkey, for 3 years. There were so many beautiful moments, but I think in Japan, they celebrate every flower. Like they have a for every flower, and it's a big deal. It's a huge thing for them. And one time I went to a hydrangea festival, which was, I think it was near Osaka, in the mountains near Osaka. And there was a little, I think it was a Buddhist temple at the top of the mountain, but you walk all the way up and the path snakes its way up the mountain, and everywhere you can see are hydrangeas. And they're big purple and blue and white. And it just was so peaceful and so beautiful. Such an important thing in their culture to celebrate blooming of each flower. In Turkey, Istanbul is such a beautiful city, and it's such a contrast from Japan. Like in Japan, everything's like controlled, everything has boundaries, and in Turkey, everything's kind of like loud and colorful, and it's beautiful in its own way. The Bosporus, which it goes between the Black Sea and it connects it to the Sea of Marmara, which becomes the Aegean Sea. It's surrounded on 3 sides by seas, Turkey is. But the Bosporus, when you go there and you see these old mansions next to this beautiful blue water, if you ever have a chance to watch Turkish rom-coms, watch them, because they're so good, and such good lessons in building romantic tension, because they're the kings of almost kissing, but not almost kisses. But they often show the scenery in Istanbul as well, so it's beautiful. But recently, I had a bucket list trip. My husband and I went to France, and I've never been. Studied French. I'm not fluent. I'm fluent in Japanese and Turkish, but not French. But we went to France, and it was amazing. And I'd always heard these stories about French people are so rude, and every single person we met was kind and sincere and genuine. We had a positive experience, and we also did a champagne tour, so that was
that helps with the mindset. Well, I think sometimes you get what you put out, and I think a lot of people go to other countries being demanding or expecting certain things, and maybe they do get rude people back, but you are, I'm sure, attract kindness everywhere you go.
The last hotel we stayed in was this gorgeous, it was called Hotel de Jobo in Le Marais, and it was like Josephine Bonaparte, but it was every inch of the hotel was covered in this vibrant wallpaper, and the rooms were tiny, but it was like every inch was a jewel box. And we loved it. And as we were getting ready to leave, an American woman and her husband came in, and we were sitting outside having a coffee. And she came out and she's like, "Oh, I had to come out and see the sun. It's so disgusting and dark in there." And I'm like, "Oh, you didn't see like how beautiful
Sacrilege.
that place was?"
Right.
So I think you're right. I think it's what you put out, and you try to say hello in French, and you ask them, do they speak English before you start speaking to them in English, and maybe that's all that it takes.
One time I was in Paris and we got up to the top. We were like in a really upper floor in an old hotel, and I'm like, oh, the view's gonna be amazing. And then I go to look out the window, and it's literally just like rooftops. There was no view. It was like almost like an enclosed, like all the buildings kind of were around it. You could see nothing, but I'm like, these roofs are so beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, like they really are. Like, you know, it is what you look for. It's like, no, I'm not seeing parks or, you know, landscapes or anything like that. But these roofs, they're just different from what I would see if I looked out my window and saw roofs. So I loved it. I was like, this is so cool.
Exactly. It's what you look for.
Yeah. Your bio also mentioned that you met your husband abroad. Can you tell us about your meet cute?
Well, a friend of mine, Jennifer Nickerson from LA, asked me to go to this wedding reception with her. And I said, I'm not invited. She said, no, it's want as many people there as can go, and it's just in a bar. So the bar happened to be a place that my company had sold the bar system, like the English bar for this. Oh. And I had an architect who wanted to see it. So I asked the architect to come with me to this wedding reception that was open to the public. I don't know. But it turned out Jennifer knew the guy who was getting married. I didn't know either of these people. But he had been arrested for marijuana possession. And in Japan, was a pretty serious offense. I don't know what the law is now, but back then, if you were on a tourist visa, you had to go to jail for 2 years. If you were married to a Japanese national, however, you were deported. You didn't have to go to jail. So he married a Japanese woman in jail, kind of like a green card situation. And the girl that he married had been Demir's close friend, my husband's close friend's girlfriend, until the night before the wedding, when she said, if you're not going to marry me, I'm going to marry Steve and get a green card because I want to go to America. So that was where I met my husband. But Jennifer knew him and introduced us. And as soon as I met him, his name is Demir, and he's from Istanbul. As soon as I met him, I knew if I go out with him, this will be serious. And it was. We were engaged.
Very serious.
3 months later.
Yeah.
When you know, you know.
Wow.
I guess so.
Well, did you say you were engaged 3 months later?
Yes, because my contract was ending with my job, and I had to decide if I was going to renew and stay longer, or if I was going to go home. And so we were kind of had that time pressure situation. We got engaged in September, and then we were married a year later in October.
I mean, there's just like so many books in this story that you just said. Like,
yeah,
so many books.
Yeah, like I want to watch that movie.
Honestly.
Yeah.
I think I would write
it
as people married in jail falling in love. That's probably how I would.
Right? So many angles.
So interesting. I've also heard that your dog is quite the celebrity. Can you tell us about that? The Fiction Fairies by nature are very dog friendly. And Joylings, if you've been watching, you know that we've had dogs and cats making themselves known on our podcast in the past.
Well, being good today. Capone is very old. He's a black lab, and he's going to be 12 in October. So he's still got that puppy energy that people told me he would lose after a year, but it never happened. My nieces, the ones I mentioned who are from Istanbul, they were little when we got him, and they said, Aunt Wendy, please share a picture every day of Capone because we miss him so much. So I was like, okay, I made a Facebook page for him just for them to be able to every day. And I wrote a short story from his perspective about some bad decision he made that day or some he did. He's a lab, so he gave me so much material, and he's probably one of the Marley and me variety of. But I didn't think about the fact that Facebook pages are public, and I started noticing people commenting, like family, friends, whatever. I'm like, wow, they're reading this, and then people started commenting, and then people from other countries and other places, and he gets about 2,000 views a day at this point. I write every single day, and sometimes it's just about drool. A lot of drool going on in my house. But he went viral in December. He had a video that I think it had like, I'm going to say 5 million. It ended up with 5.
Wow.
And ironically, it was a video that I took of him sitting on the couch with my nieces, and they were about to leave to go back to Istanbul, and they're all grown up now. And he was talking like, you know how loud do.
Yeah.
But that one, it kind of felt like a full circle moment, like it started with them and ended with them.
That is full circle.
The fun thing that I learned about this is that when you're trying to connect, sometimes it's the most organic things that you don't intend that ended up being a way to connect with your readers. I was, most of the time when I was writing these posts when he was a puppy, it was mostly like therapy, because my God, you know, this dog is insane. I didn't say that because it's from his perspective, but people could get into it. But it was like a palate cleanse. It was like something different to do, and just how I would start my day every day. What did he do? Let me think. He ate a sock. You know, he ate a dish towel that had butter on it. You know, what else did he do? But when it's genuine, people know. If you force things and try to be part of a community, like to promo your book, they feel it. It doesn't. And it kind of morphed into, they asked me to write books from his perspective. So I wrote a couple Capone books. They're rom-coms told from a puppy's perspective. And I've made him a character in another series just because he's getting old. And I'm like, you know what? This is maybe the last book he'll be in.
So memorialize him.
Yeah. Yeah, and also it makes his readers so happy if I make any reference to him. So
nice.
Yeah,
I love that.
And a reader suggested that I use my power for good and not evil. But she said, why don't you post about dogs that are available for adoption? So every Tuesday, the local shelter contacts me, and I about a dog that they're having trouble placing. I have a connection to our local newspaper, so I send them the post too. So it ends up.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So it seems like this marketing brain of yours, I know you don't do any of that for marketing, but I'm just like thinking like, wow, like this does just come naturally to you. Like just because it's such a part of you, you're not putting on any airs. You're not making, you're not making up this persona. This is just who you are. And it just sort of works. Like you connect the dots.
Yeah, I think when you're genuine, people feel it.
Yeah.
I once judged a scholarship contest, and I didn't judge it. I organized it. As I should say that. But I knew as soon as I read the entries which one would win, because I could tell immediately which child's story was sincere, which student was telling that was directly from the heart, showed vulnerability, was a true story. It wasn't just kind of like looking for something to fill the prompt. They felt it. So, and I was right every time. So I think people can sense it.
For sure. And I think that that's something that's so important to remember, that people do want connection and community and kind of speaking human to human. And that's a good thing. Yeah. All right. So now time to shift into some more of the whimsy, because, I can't go too long without whimsy. So I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions that are very, very important. And I want to know. Okay. So if you could live in a mythological setting, which would you choose?
Well, um, I was thinking of Troy at first because, it's like bad news, war, all that kind of thing. But Troy actually is in Turkey, and my son was able to do an experiential learning seminar there, and he went there and he learned about what it looked like back during the Trojan War and what it looks like now. And they read the Odyssey there, so that would be but that's not really like a mythological world because it did exist. So I was thinking about what we were talking about, how the books we read as children influence us so much. And I think my favorite book growing up was A Wrinkle in Time by Madeleine L'Engle.
Oh, yes.
I like to live with Mrs. Whatsit in that house, in that crazy house. And
yeah, I could see that. All
and
right.
it reminds me, have you watched A Discovery of Witches?
I started it. I watched
I did too, yeah.
When they go to the house where she grew up with her two aunties, that reminds me of a Mrs. Whatsit vibe. I think that's why that's like the house responds to what's going on and moves things. I don't know. That's just cool.
I do love that. I love that. All right. How about if you had a mythological spirit creature? What would it be?
I don't want to be a fairy like you guys.
Yeah. Join us.
We do highly recommend it.
We do. It's a very joyful life. I won't living among flowers. Yes, we got to get you some wings. If you had a magic wand, I've got mine right here, but if you had one that really worked and didn't just, whatever, but which of your heroes or heroines would you make real for a day from your books, and what would you do together? Gotta pick one favorite child.
From my books. Oh my God. Well, when you initially started talking about this, I was thinking of something completely different, which, have you ever seen the movie Amélie? It's a French movie. You need to watch it.
Okay, adding it to the list.
Lie. It's the most magical, quirky, sweet, adorable, positive. It's about a woman who's a waitress in a cafe in Montmartre in Paris. And she had kind of a strange, isolated childhood, but she's very alone in Paris. She has people around her, but she's very much lonely kind of girl. And she finds in her bathroom this box that has some toy cars or something in it, and she decides it's her mission to figure out who these cars had belonged to and return the person secretly, like secret good deed. And she does, and it makes this man so happy and changes his life with this little thing that she starts doing it for other people. But I would like to hang out with her.
Okay.
Is that
right?
Okay. I can think of my characters too. Which are my characters that I want to hang out with the most? My God, that's such a hard question.
That's okay. We can come back to it if you want.
I'll say the character I'm working on right now.
Okay.
She writes the obituaries for her local newspaper. But this series it's the 5th book in a series called the Southside series. And Southside is an area of Pittsburgh that's a little run down, but a little funky, and lots of bars and restaurants and funky people. Like, you'll be walking down the street behind 4 nuns, and they'll be walking with a man dressed entirely in gold lame.
Oh my gosh. Love it.
Love
it.
Like a cool place. But
that's neat.
My character is actually the reincarnation of an Egyptian death deity, and her job is judging the souls of people who may or may not have committed murder. So it's fun. It's a fun world.
That sounds fun. Yeah, I'd like to hang out with her.
That does sound fun.
Jeez.
Yeah.
And my son lives in Pittsburgh, so I just love the vibe there. Like, it's just such a fun place to visit. Like,
hot and yeah. You were just
so. Yeah, I'm gonna come see you.
Yes, please do.
So do you have any quirky writing habits? Like sometimes, we've talked to people who like to talk to themselves while they're writing, or they do a little dance in the seat when you get a scene just right, yelling at your characters. I can't imagine you ever yelling at your characters, but is there anything that's kind of quirky that you do when you're writing?
Sometimes I don't have this right now, but sometimes I have to have a mirror in front of me because when you're describing what a person's expression is, sometimes it helps to make that expression. So it'll be like,
Yeah.
That's probably,
Yeah.
I think I
That's
can.
smart. I do that. I act out the expression, but I don't use a mirror. That's so much smarter. I'm just I just try to catalog it in my head, like what's
Just so
happening.
that you don't get into like, she frowned, he frowned, they frowned.
Yeah. Yeah. And I still do, but
Still frowned.
Smiled. My characters smile a ridiculous amount. And I'm always had to go through and get them out. Yeah.
Yes, that was my when I first started writing, that was one of my, not the editor I have now, another editor said, your characters smile far too much. And I was like, I like smiling. I'm sorry.
Smile.
But, yeah.
And what would your dream writing day be?
Any day that's quiet and productive is my dream writing day.
I'm very pragmatic.
By myself.
Simple requests.
Love it.
Yeah. And it's only me and my dog most of the time because my husband travels for work and he's gone every day, Monday through Thursday. But so many things, good things happen that get me derailed and visit and we go places. It's just like any day that I'm home and I have that span of time in front of me and nothing to do. It's a great
dreamy.
Yeah.
I agree. And so you gave us a little sneak peek, I think, because you mentioned the character you're working on. Is that your next creative project, or is there something else coming up, or what can you tell us about your next?
I'm about halfway through it. I currently have 2 books that are still on sub with my agent, so hopefully one will sell. We'll see. But one of those is a time travel romance, drawing upon my own experience, not in time travel, but in living in Istanbul. It's my character goes back to Ottoman times. There was a time in the Ottoman Empire where the next in line to the throne was kept in a golden cage, which was literally like a room for his whole entire life. And so that's kind of what this story is about. But yeah, so that's one that's on sub right now. But the one I'm working on right now is the 5th in my Southside series, which is kind of got like a little magical element. I wouldn't say it's like a fantasy or 100% paranormal. They're mostly rom-coms with paranormal or magical elements.
So fun.
Nice.
Love it.
Those both sound like more projects to bring more joy. I love it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so that lets us kind of slip in just quickly to a small spirit of joy topic, which, the book that's coming out for you, and that's July 1st, right? Poppy Cakes comes out July 1st, correct? Yep. So, you've got baking, baseball, banter. So these are things that you could these are things you could find in your upcoming book. So we wanted to just take a quick opportunity to discuss ingredients that go into the recipe of creating a fun romance read. So in your case, all 3 of these ingredients, baking, baseball, banter, are joyful things to add to your story.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is we were thinking about how baking brings people comfort, and it can also have a social element to it. And, you can bake for someone, you could bake, as sort of an event or a show kind of thing. And in your case, baking as this reality kind of live streaming sort of thing. And then baseball is, a beloved sport that many people enjoy playing, watching, can kind of have favorite teams, fandoms, all of that sort of thing. And then banter, of course, we love banter in romance novels especially, but it brings people together as well. And we've seen that in our kind of romance novels, movies, shows, that sort of thing. So, we sort of imagine that.
You really nailed it because, first of all, when I went to visit my son in Charleston, we went to see this minor league baseball game, which I was like, oh, great, we're going to a baseball game, again for the 9th time in my life because baseball is long. It takes forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
My kids play tennis and soccer, thank God, because
It's much quicker. Yeah.
but it was so much fun because of the community. The team there is called Birds in Charleston, West Virginia. They're like the canaries that go in coal mines, you know.
Oh.
But the whole community was there, and there was such a sense of celebration. And we sat to this little league baseball team, and the little kids were cheering the whole time. They had, you know, pitcher, pitcher, look at me. I'm a monkey in a tree. Go bananas, go bananas. And I were doing that cheer the whole weekend to the point where one of my son was like, I can't hear this anymore.
Stop.
But it was so much fun. And I think that sense of community is also how my character sees her baking. She knows the favorite cake of every person she's ever met. Like she bakes for people, and she always her what she says is she logs off every internet. I'm losing words now. Every time she's recording is bake someone happy.
I love it.
So nice.
Yeah. But as far as romantic elements, I'm going to use an analogy related to baked goods.
Okay, I like baked goods.
People sometimes judge romance for being too predictable or for the ending, but there are things that your reader expects to have, and if you don't fulfill those things, your reader won't. It doesn't matter if you're writing a romance story or a detective novel or a horror novel. Without realizing it, readers have expectations. So I like to use the cream pie analogy. Like, suppose you were really hungry for a chocolate cream pie, and you went to the bakery, see all these gorgeous cream pies in the display case, and one says chocolate. So you say, that's what I want. I want a chocolate cream pie. You can't see the chocolate because it's covered in cream. But you take it home and you can't wait to have this chocolate cream pie. But when you cut into it, you discover that it's not chocolate, it's banana. And it might be the best banana pie you've ever had. But if what you were craving, if what you wanted was chocolate cream pie, the fact that the bakery mislabeled that pie is going to be a big problem for you.
So true.
That's what it is with labeling the book correctly.
Yeah, so true. And like, if you one time I made whoopie pies, and I was making like these pumpkin whoopie pies. My son loved them, and I didn't have baking powder, so I tried to substitute with like baking soda. The ratios were all wrong. It was terrible. All you could taste, it was just tasted salty. It was like, they looked delicious. I worked really hard on them. We were all so excited, and then we bit into them, and it was like clearly not what a whoopie pie should taste like. And like, that's the thing too. If you don't put in those elements in that recipe that people want in that type of book, it is not going to be that, and it's going to just be disappointing.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah, I like that analogy a lot. And you know, in terms of the baking and the baseball and the banter, those things all have like a seasonal appeal too. You know, we bake certain sweets during different seasons or holidays, and baseball is a seasonal sport. And the height of banter happens in that early season of a relationship when the people are finding ways to communicate with each other and to connect. And so when we read romance in particular, you know, the recipes that we're looking for are things for comfort and social connection in these flirting scenes, which we know your books, Abigail, have, and as do my books and Amanda's books. So, you know, those are things that we are actively looking for when we pick these kinds of reads up.
Absolutely. And like, Abigail, what would you say, like, are there some other categories or like elements that you would add to this recipe that we've sort of put together?
Well, if you're writing a romance, I think that you just have to be really careful that you're following the rules and that you know what the rules are. It's fine to take things and twist them and do all that kind of thing, but I think sprinkling in tropes is a magical thing you can do, especially with a romance. I have a wonderful friend, Susan Meyer, who I call her the trope queen. And she sat down with me once and said, okay, tell me the tropes. Which tropes are you using? Let's talk about the tropes. And she's absolutely right. She's written 100 books for Hallmark, or not Hallmark, Harlequin.
Oh, wow.
So she knows what she's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I think the tropes help readers find exactly what stories appeal to them. There are people who love second chance romance, people who love enemy lovers, people who love, when I was doing the tropes for Poppy Cakes, enemies to lovers, small town romance, single dad, like the things that immediately you know what they're talking about. So I would say that the ingredient that some writers forget to talk about are the tropes.
Mm-hmm. And those are things we've always known, even...
It's predictable. I don't want to be
right.
like everybody else, but there's a reason why these stories have appeal, have universal.
Yeah. And before the word tropes was sort of popularized, like when I was reading romance as a teenager, I didn't know what a trope was, but I certainly knew that if I read a historical romance, that hero is going to be leaning up against the pillar in a ballroom, watching her dance with somebody else at the end, right before he makes his move. Like, if there was not a hero leaning against the pillar in the ballroom scene, I was like, oh, that was not what I wanted, you know?
Yeah. And it's, as readers, we have these like particular tastes. And if authors can appropriately market and label what they're serving up, then the readers, it's like a menu. I mean, you open up a menu and you're like, what am I in the mood for? Because I know what my tastes are. And so as the author offering that, we need to be really clear. Like one thing that I really love to see in romance novels is that awkward heroine. Basically because I can relate. So, a little clumsy, a little unsure, and it takes the experiences that she has throughout the story to like have her gain confidence and like really get that happy ending.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
Again, if we're clear about what we're serving up, we're going to find readers who want that. So, what about you, Amanda? What do you like to see?
Oh gosh, I mean, I love so much, but I really look for like a little bit of like some kind of emotional depth, whether it's just like some backstory pain that affects the character's personality. It could even just be a small mention. It doesn't have to be like harping on it, but or like actions. It like impacts them. It impacts their life in some way, their personality, the actions they take, whatever, how they interact with people. And then they overcome these things in the story. And for me, that's just the magic like element, you know, like just like finding that happily ever after just feels so earned when they've worked through those kinds of things. So catnip for me.
You know what? I have the perfect author for you if you like that, that backstory, emotional depth. Her name is Amanda Torrey. And you should definitely pick up her books because she nails that every time. So
I'm sitting here literally at the edge of my seat. I'm like, oh, who is it? One I haven't read yet.
No, it's you, dear. It's you.
Oh, well, thank you.
So Joylings, next time you go book shopping, think about what ingredients you love in your recipe for a good read. Really, I think there's a responsibility on the reader shopping too, to be like, okay, what is it that I want? And then, we're here to give it to you. So
and don't be afraid to try a new recipe, like you might have the thing you love every time, but sometimes that banana cream pie is going to be the best thing you ever tasted once you get it out of your head that like it's not chocolate.
Chocolate.
It's true. It's true. I mean, as a kid, I was the one that would eat the same thing for dinner every night because I didn't want to try anything else. But like once I got over that and started trying other things, and it's like, oh, hey, there's a lot of great food out here. So same thing in terms of books, I'm sure. So
for sure.
So another thing that we like to do on the Fiction Fairies podcast is a sprite spell. And our last sprite spell was to think of a thread that is common to whatever creative work that you do, and then try to incorporate that into a new project. So I think for me is I mentioned about doing these library programs earlier in the episode. And I think for me, I was thinking about, the thread of, loving writing so much and loving creating stories. And I think I took that and I put it into what this program is that I designed for kids, because the summer reading program theme is unearth a story. So it's about
Mm.
storytelling. So I took that love of storytelling that I think I infuse in everything that I do, and I put it in this and connected it to cave art as early
Oh, love
storytelling.
that.
So I think that's kind of how
Yes.
I checked off doing that sprite spell. So
Fantastic.
how about you, Amanda?
Yeah, so I have been very into writing like my cozy fantasy stuff. I'm really leaning heavy into the whimsy. Or as my mother said after she read my fumbled fairy tales, she doesn't always love she always loves my books, but she generally doesn't love my heroines for some reason. And she was like, You found your niche, like sunshine and sparkles." And I'm like, "Oh, my niche is sunshine and sparkles." Like,
There you
but
go.
so I actually like really liked that. But I think that one of the things that, because I love all this whimsy in my books, is that my nanny kids are out for the summer, and I talked to them the other day about writing a book together over the summer because they're 6 and almost 8 now, and they love being creative and writing. And every year on the last day of school, I usually get them like a little notebook to write stories during the summer, and I forgot on their last day this week. And they reminded me that I forgot. So we have to go notebook shopping on Monday. And so we talked about that. And I was like, oh, we can kind of brainstorm what kind of magic you want to put in it and stuff. So this will be, and then I told them I would print it like as a like paperback book for them. So it's gonna be like a surprise for their parents. At the end of the summer, they'll have a book with these threads. And so I will definitely help them plant, the whimsy in there. And of course kids come up
Cool.
with like the best whimsy. So yeah, that's
Yes.
how I'm sort of spreading my whimsy. And
Love it.
Abigail, are there like
Your
any common
whimsy.
threads of your work that you kind of sprinkle throughout other things? Like,
Well, I think it's been an interesting year for me. Last year was a challenging year. My middle son was diagnosed with epilepsy when he was getting his master's degree, so he was like 23 years old.
mm,
But he ended up moving to St. Louis with his fiance and living 5 blocks away from one of the best epilepsy centers in the whole country.
wonderful.
Able to do 2 brain surgeries in 2025, and he's now seizure free. So,
Wow.
you Barnes Jewish Hospital, we appreciate you. And
Amazing.
he's now working in pediatric neurosurgery and at WashU
Oh,
at Barnes Jewish Hospital. So it's kind of like
amazing.
not only he's been cured from this terrible thing, but also he's found his calling.
Yeah.
I'm happy. But last year I had to say no to a lot of things. We all go through those periods in our writing life. I know people who lost a spouse or went through a divorce or some other thing happened, and they went through a period where they just felt like, am I going to keep writing? And
Mm-hmm.
I never got to that point last year, but it was not my most productive year. So my main thing is celebrating the fact that I have the time now and I'm able to say
Yeah.
yes to things again,
Yes, good.
do different events and activities. And I taught at Penn Writers Conference, which I wasn't able to do the previous couple of years because of
Mm.
hospital stays and things like that. So,
Mm.
so this is,
Aw.
finding those glimmers, finding those little bits of sparkle and magic, and finding your joy again. Sometimes we have
Yes.
to really dig in to look for it. But
Yeah. I'm so happy
Amen.
about your son. Wonderful. That's
and
wonderful
Yes.
he's getting
news.
married in November.
Aw, so many
Yay.
great things
Love it.
happening in
Mm.
Abigail's life over here.
26.
Love it. Love it.
It's a good year.
But
Love that.
Thank you.
Well, so we had our Sprite spell from last time, and now I will issue a new Sprite spell where we challenge you, the Joylings, our listeners, to write out a little recipe of things that you like to see in your next creative work. So whatever it is that you're working on, not everybody who tunes into this podcast is a writer, but if you're a painter or a songwriter, I mean, you're a writer, but not the way we talk about, or a decorator, whatever it is you do, if there's a common theme that you would like that you could carry on to a new creative project, go ahead and write that recipe and let us know what it is. I want to hear about it.
yeah. Yeah, we'll see how we did with this sprite spell in the next episode. And Joylings, please tell us about your progress on any of the sprite spells from any episode. You can comment wherever you listen or watch the podcast, or DM us on social media. Our links are in the show description and on the About tab of our Fiction Fairies Substack.
Yeah, and I think that's it for this episode. Abigail, it's just an absolute delight having you. I feel like I could talk to you forever. You have so many fascinating
Yes.
things to say. So we need like an 8-hour podcast to just,
Yes.
or maybe
Agreed,
just a girls'
agreed.
weekend. I don't know.
Be nice.
Yeah.
It's such a
Thank
joy.
you for
So,
having me, guys. I really enjoyed this.
oh, it's so great to have you. Thank you. And if you, the Joyling listener, enjoyed the Fiction Fairies podcast, please hit the like button, subscribe, find us on social media, leave a review, tell everyone you know about the podcast. Tell everybody you know about our friend Abigail and her wonderful books that she's writing, Abigail Drake.
Yes, yes. And if you're a creative person and want to be a guest on the Fiction Fairies podcast, like Abigail, there is a form in the show description and on our Substack to contact us.
Oh, yes. And don't forget the Whimsy Writer Club happening tonight, June 25th at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Subscribe to our Substack to get the Zoom link sent to you, or join or click on the link. To join or click on the link in the show description below. And we'd love to see you there. Being weird.
Yes, we would.
With us.
And again, yes, we love being weird. It's our favorite thing. And it comes so naturally.
So natural. We finally found something we can really embrace and thrive with.
Yes. Well, you always get that advice to like be your authentic selves, and like this is it. We're
like,
doing it.
How much can you handle?
Yes.
Of us being our authentic selves?
Yes.
We're gonna
turn the dial on the weirdness up to 11. That's what's going to happen. So yeah. And again, thank you, Abigail, for joining us. So lovely to talk to you and get a glimpse into how you find joy in creativity. And Joylings, be sure to check the show description for all of Abigail Drake's links so you can connect with her and you can check out her books, particularly her new one, Poppy Cakes, coming out on July 1st.
When I saw your post about that book, Abigail, I pre-ordered it like immediately. So I'm anxiously awaiting it to arrive on my Kindle. So
thank you so much.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. And now we'll leave you all with the glimmer challenge of asking you to find and spread joy today. I am waving my wand and saying farewell, Joylings.
With my pen.
Farewell, Joylings.
Farewell.
See you next time on the Fiction Fairies podcast. Bye.
Bye.